Okay, there we go. All right. We're ready. We're going to go ahead and call the Public Works Committee to order this evening. Tonight on our agenda is the garbage contract as well as the recycling program. We're certainly glad to have everybody here tonight. I want to recognize a couple of people already. I am Mark Skidmore, the Alderman from Ward 1, Chairman of the Public Works. Here is Jim Waters, Alderman from Ward 6, is on the committee, and Vice Chairman Pat Campbell, the Alderman from Ward 2. I do want to recognize a couple of people this evening. Chip Moore is our Public Works Director for the City of Hendersonville, and Chip works with this committee on a day-to-day basis. We're always in touch with him with certain things that are going on within the Public Works in the City of Hendersonville, and so we're certainly glad to have him on board and glad that he does an excellent job. I do want to recognize Peg Petrelli, an Alderman from Ward 1 who is here, and then our Mayor, Jamie Clary, is here in the evening tonight, and we're certainly glad to have both of you here, and then and we're glad to have the rest of the people are here tonight. So what I'm going to do, if there's no objection from the committee, we're going to go ahead and we've got a PowerPoint program this evening dealing with garbage and recycling. We'll go ahead and get started with that. And so, Chip, if you would, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you said, I'm Chip Moore. I'm Public Works Director. To let you know, I've been with the city since 2002, and I've been dealing with the residential collection program since probably 2004, 2005. So I'm very aware of our collection issues and disposal issues that we have in the city. When I became Public Works Director about 3 years ago, one of the first things I wanted to do was where can this city save money? Well, two of our biggest expenditures are police and fire. Since that's mostly personnel, that's not really a place we can save money. and they get more expensive every year because you need more cars, more fire halls. That's public safety. That's the way it works. One thing we can as a community, though, one of our next biggest line items for that we as a city put out and as a community, because that's what we collect as the fee, as everyone sees on the property tax, is garbage. And our current program, very, very few cities in the state do this anymore, even across the country, with twice a week backdoor service. There are some rules and restrictions, but it is very much a platinum type program. And so I felt it incumbent upon myself to bring to this board and to you an option that could save a substantial amount of money. Just a small, short overview. We have had a lot of people reach out to us to really want to try to do recycling. It's really gotten a lot of people to come here and ask, and they're like, "You don't have it?" And it's like, "No, but there are some private vendors." And so that's something else we have to take into account to go to a citywide program. There's some bumps there. We currently serve about 18,600 homes. That was according to our last house count that we have with our contract that we collected and settled on about 2 weeks ago. So that's a pretty substantial number of homes. We do not service any commercial. Again, collection is 2 times a week, backdoor with regulations. So it's backdoor meaning anywhere on the property. I know a lot of folks have told me they've never had backdoor service, but that's your option. You can have it. If you wish to place it at the curb, you can. But as long as it's on the property where they don't have to enter a fence, there's not an invisible fence because, well, they can't see them. You know, we have to be very careful. And as long as they don't go under a carport, they will collect the garbage at your house as long as it is in a bag and in a can. Additional waste has to be put at the curb. So, but if you have any other questions on that, please contact Public Works, 615-822-1016. We will gladly help you with those. So again, I was talking about money. This is in millions of dollars. Okay, so you can see the total there in yellow. It increases, and I'll be the first one to say that has increased because we have added more houses. So that's a part of that increase. But the waste increase again increases because it's more houses generating more waste. But there is a cost associated per year with a CPI, which is a production. What is that? Consumer Price Index, sorry, that just escaped me for a moment. Consumer Price Index, we go through calculations and we agree upon something that's very equitable for inflation. We have a standard 3% every year that goes up for disposal. It's a completely separate contract. So those two are different beasts. If you have further questions on that, please feel free to call me or ask questions later tonight. So we do have costs that are occurring going up, and if we don't change our service, we can expect to see something like this continually. So what I wish to do is show you some alternatives. There's always the keep the same, do not change type thing. I've got some projections here. You can see that over the last four years, our fee's gone up about $10 a year. Well, not a year, but for over the 4 years, it's gone up $10. So if you want to keep it the same, we'll probably see another increase of about 3% for collection next year and 3% for disposal. This isn't going to affect how, if we don't change what we do here, we can expect the projections for the landfills where we do take this waste, they'll close probably sooner because metro area is accelerating in growth dramatically. Dramatically. I'm mixing all these words tonight. So it's that's another thing that we have to be concerned about is where is the state going to put a new landfill and how much more is it going to cost us to dispose of waste there, because landfills do have lifespans. We're hoping the one we're taking ours to now may last 8 years. With the rate of growth, it may last 5, maybe less. So that's an additional cost. So again, keep the same, twice a week, back door. You'll keep paying additional money for it.
Excuse me, Chip.
I just want to point out, we take our trash to Murfreesboro. Leaves Hendersonville and it's trucked all the way out to Murfreesboro to be put in a landfill. Just to give you that's exactly right. Because communities don't want to have a landfill in their backyard. Sumner County won't allow it. Rutherford County will not allow a new one to be developed. So there's no one wanting any garbage. So where is it going? We're going to be driving it.
All right. Thank you. So that's a pretty easy slide to understand. What I would like to do is then propose an alternative. Option one, once a week curbside. We do understand that there are probably about 6,000 folks who cannot take their garbage to the curb. We have gone through, looked at the census data. We mainly looked at other cities who have changed to curbside. They have looked at the starting age for folks to request to continue curbside to be 65. That age can be set by the board, lower or higher. Again, it'll affect additional parcels to be able picked up, and also if you have any ADA restrictions. We understand, backdoor service is still required. So this is something that we are very aware of, and those folks will still maintain that level of service. What we do expect, though, is going to once a week. You see immediate costs. You have fewer trucks. You have fewer people. So as I would say, conservatively, 25% could be more. And by saving about 25% for collection, you're looking at about saving $1 million a year. Other things that you see also are garbage trucks are one of the worst things on your subdivision roads. And if you go through some of these certain subdivisions, you see where the garbage truck stops twice a week, and the road is torn up. So then we have to send crews out there and fix it. And not only those roads, but they have impact on all our other collector roads, Indian Lake, Sanders Ferry Road, Walton Ferry Road, Anderson Road. They really, the roads see that. So that's another cost savings that's indirect because they're not damaging our roads so much. Disposal won't change. That's our contract. And that's because you're still generating the same volume of waste. We're not diverting or changing anything at that point. So an estimate would be, you might see on your tax rate, a reduction on your trash fee of about $51 a year. And so that comes out to be about $950,000. These are all estimates. So it's nearly $1 million. We can take that as that option, and then the city residents, because that money doesn't come to the city to then be parceled out to another project. That is a line item on your property tax that you just won't pay, and it stays in your pocket. So that's not because we don't take that money to go pave roads or fix drainage problems or do traffic signals or any of that. That's just what the citizens will recognize. So the next one that I would like to propose, because a lot of folks have been talking about recycling, again, I wish to stress that these are all estimates. Collection costs still decrease by about 25%. Disposal stays the same, except for the fact we are going to be looking at some diversion. So estimated recycling tonnage, our pilot program for 800 homes, we're doing about 5 tons every 2 weeks. So our current price for disposal is $44.53 a ton. So you're looking at about 1,500 tons a year. The savings is about $66,000. To let you go, the monthly check we write for disposal happens to be between $70,000 and $90,000 a month. So that's recycling saving you about a month's worth of disposal costs as far as tipping fees alone. The estimated rate still would go down to about $51 a year that you would save, but you would see, if we throw in the recycling, that would increase that to $24.16, which would probably be an increase of about $2 a month, or $24 a year to implement a citywide recycling program. Some other benefits you have from a citywide recycling program: they help community development, other people looking to move corporate headquarters here. They like the idea of having their workers, employees at that building to be able to recycle. That allows them to fill in some, check some boxes off for where they want to go and move their development. So you're looking at the corporate headquarters, that type of people who are trying to maintain some sort of LEED requirements or certifications that they've received with the federal government. So those are some real quick, fast numbers. All of these are estimates, but the main things I wanted folks to know is the things about recycling. It's not free. It has a cost. I'm not here to be pro-recycling, against recycling. I just wanted everyone to have the numbers. But there are also a lot of incidentals. It saves your roads. You can possibly recruit corporate headquarters better than or have you an opportunity to. And then you do help extend the life of the current landfill. So projected, if we have to haul our waste even further, we could save the city on disposal costs for the length of time that we're not putting 1,500 tons of waste in a landfill a year. So there are a lot of incidental costs that, it's things that the community needs to be aware of. And I'm happy to entertain any questions or motions, or I think we do have some people who would like to speak to the issue.
All right, is that through your, okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Again, this is this part of our Public Works Committee is like a hearing for the city. If anyone on this tablet, is everybody wanting to speak on this? If we are, I'm just going to take them as I got them. Is that right? Okay, Andy, that last name, Liana. Okay, I got. Like what it's spelled like. Welcome to our committee.
Thank you. Andrew Liana, 102 Loch Levin Way. I get that right, Loretta? Anyway, real quick, first off, I think I came here tonight because I saw something in the paper. I just wanted to cover with Chip more for clarification. I've been a resident of Hendersonville for 22 years. We did have backdoor service we used in Ballantrae where I lived for the first 2 years, but in essence, Ward 4, for the people that live around me, we do have curbside. Okay, so in reality, for clarifications, we may be bidding backdoor, but a good percentage has curbside. Second thing is, regarding Republic, my compliments to their company, their sanitation personnel, my highest compliments. They're very courteous, they hustle, they move, and I've never had any problems with Republic in the waste. So that's a compliment. I am a little bit questions about going to a 1-week pickup. Just some comments about it real quick. I am very familiar with recycling programs and switching from a 2-day pickup to 1 day based on my association from New Jersey, which I go back to approximately once a month. I have an aunt that I look after. So I've seen the switch in the comments. And so,
Excuse me, are they where you are they still at 2 or are they?
no, they're at 1. In fact, the whole community, which is probably at least twice the size of Hendersonville, if not 1.5 times the size of Hendersonville, has gone to a 90-gallon trash pickup with the mechanical arm, where the city owns the trash cans. The only problem with that is when you get to be older like me and a little bit of a back problem, those trash cans once a week can get to be pretty heavy. So I still prefer 2 versus 1, but we do support recycling. We actively take recycling every 2 weeks to a recycling center, and I can tell you that it does reduce the volume of approximately, I'm going to guess, we save between 1 and 2 cans every 2 weeks of volume from the landfill. So an alternative may be a recycling center, maybe 1 or 2 recycling centers a little more closely where people volunteer. I mean, that's just a suggestion. I tend to see up north, again, I'm not saying the north is better, because I prefer living in Hendersonville, but, you have the containers for papers, and you got the containers for cans and tins, and it starts becoming very cumbersome with people, and then people get tired of it, and then they stop doing it. So I just ask you all that, really look into it, make your decisions based on getting as much information as you can, and I know you will. But again, my issue was in the paper that clarification of backdoor versus curbside and how we bid out that contract. And then the second thing is we're for recycling, but I'd sure like to keep the 2-day-a-week pickup. That's all I ask.
Hold on, Mr. Or I'm just going to call you Andy.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, I'm just going to call you Andy, okay. Does anyone have any questions from Andy at all on that?
I was just going to say on our containers, what we do is we put all of our recyclables in one container and we sort it at a center later. It's sorted out at another process down the road when they take it back to a location to help you out with that.
Well, sorry. My only comment to that is when you mix a lot of glass and cans and paper together, I can see also how that can become an issue too. So, like I said, not to say anybody else does it any better. There's different ways that work for different communities. It's just that I've seen at least 10 years of it now from the north when I go up there, some of the issues that can develop. Again, not objecting to recycling, just my issue is to keep the 2 pickups.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you're saying because this is one of the reasons why that we're starting so early on our garbage contract with recycling is because this is all new to Hendersonville and especially, and I will say to Tennessee and especially in Middle Tennessee in general about the recycling process. I think most local governments now that you're seeing in Tennessee are not even just local government, but even the big metropolitan areas in the state of Tennessee are realizing that recycling is something that our country as a whole needs just because of the growth of the world, the growth that we're experiencing. So we appreciate any observation or, comment, and especially your commentary because, it's people like yourself that are either interested in the garbage or recycling or have experienced it. And you have experienced it, so the knowledge that you can give us it helps this committee as well as we can express our views and your views as well to the whole board of mayor and aldermen. So I do appreciate anything that you can give us, because
Thank you very much for taking the time listening to me. I appreciate it.
Let me address a couple. So to let you know about our pilot recycling program, we're not taking glass at this point. Glass is a very difficult commodity. The facility that we take it to is a waste management facility, I believe, in Rivergate. Currently, it's plastics, metals, paper, cardboard. That's pretty much it. But we're still seeing a 90% participation rate in our current pilot program, which is extremely high. Most places you're lucky to see 25 to 40. So I do believe that a lot of folks are already really educated in recycling, and so far we haven't, to my knowledge, had any issues with cleanliness of cans or the waste. So we haven't had any complaints from that. And it is single stream, and so it is extremely convenient for folks to just go, oh well, that's plastic, that's cardboard, boom, all goes in one big 90-gallon can. So we would probably continue to move towards that. I am sitting with a bunch of Middle Tennessee communities. TDEC has put together their solid waste division, kind of a group that talks about solid waste and its movements in the future and how municipalities can look towards possibly making glass something that can be recycled. So they're getting together with some ceramic manufacturing companies that buy lots of sand, and so they're trying to figure out a way to make this an alternative product, the glass instead of sand. So I just wanted to let y'all know about that one.
all right, thank you. Mary, you're next. Mary lives on Roberta. I've spoken to Mary about 3 or 4 times. In fact, back when Miss Long was with us, she and I had been in contact with Mary. Now, as I understand it, you worked or have knowledge of all this stuff, especially in California.
I have extensive knowledge and experience in recycling, both at the citizens level, at the county level, from 24 years on the school board as the city council, but its school board, in enacting recycling, because the children are our future and we need to get them educated. I've already been in touch with the school district people here. And I wanted to bring up, because I don't want to take all your time, I wanted to bring up a couple items that I didn't hear in the presentation. You're going to need to look at ordinances, because the city ordinances regarding, scavenging will need to be addressed in order for your recycling to be efficient. And that's one of the things that you'll need to look at ahead of time, because as soon as you have all of these wonderful recyclables in a clean order and form, all of a sudden markets start appearing locally to buy back. And buyback centers, you'll need to protect the solid waste person from losing the content that is the highest rate to buyback. And as far as glass, the problem with glass is not that it's dangerous or hard to handle, it's the Chinese markets. Now remember, I'm from the West Coast, and going to the markets where the recyclables head to is something that, I don't know which one is the waste person, but the waste haulers know the markets on who will buy those recyclables, and they will fluctuate. Right now, the market is not cost effective for the one that I go through to do glass, but those markets fluctuate. And those markets are something that you're going to need. If there's any way a private citizen can be on that committee that you're talking about, I would love to be on that. My experience is I have been through Oregon's recycling and their incinerator facilities. I've been through incinerator facilities all through California. I have done California's MRF facilities. What the city of Hendersonville could really save some money on is if you build a MRF, a materials recovery facility. You got this great land down here by the quarry that has a lot of open space, and if you provided the facilities, then the waste haulers could use it, and you would get some money out of it, and so would they. They have the transportation portion of it. If you become like a partner with the people that are the waste haulers, because those waste haulers are really your health of your community. And when you think about the health of your community, like he was saying that the big developers and the people that are the ones that want to come to your community, they look at schools, they look at the waste, and nothing will excite an activist quicker than a landfill proposal. Trust me. I invested 20 years of my life fighting Eagle Mountain landfill in the deserts of California. It was humongous. It was where the steel was milled to build the ships from World War II. It was enormous. And I spent 20 years of my life working on that landfill. So I do understand the things that need to be done to create a healthier landfill. I know how to do the recycling of the gases. I know why the gases spread. If I could just take 2 minutes to tell you why. The reason that the landfill gases are so bad is because of the automobile tire. I got all the name recognition and education because of my knowledge on automobile tires. Automobile tires are shaped. You've seen children bounce around on them. It's because of that shape. When one goes into the landfill and then the stuff gets packed on top of it, when a tractor rolls over top of that, the gases capture in the sides of the tire, and the tire will do what is called float. They physically will come out of the landfill. They will right out. And when they do, they bring out the methane gas, they bring out all the toxics from everything you ever put in the trash. And it's really a very interesting process. I lived not too far from Milliken landfill, and it was part of my jogging area around the roads nearby, and I physically watched as tires floated and caused the gases to come out. So when a landfill gets proposed, God, I hope I'm still alive and can work on that, because there is a right way and a wrong way to do a landfill. And you can even mine from a landfill if it is done properly. I knew of a, believe it or not, a landfill librarian. She worked in the landfill, and her job was they pulled out all of the books, and she distributed books from the landfill. So landfills are not a horrible boogie bad thing. They just need to be done with an educated form to them. And my claim to fame, my 24 years on the school board, when I was done, when I left, we had our own trash truck. And that reduced, our waste went to the facility for the waste, and our recyclables went to the MRF, and that cost us nothing to tip. So there's a lot of excitement that can be had about recycling, and yeah, I'm excited about recycling, because to me it's something moral, and it's something we all need to buy into and promote as something that's good for your community. So yeah, I'm your gung-ho recycler.
Let me ask you a question. Based on your yes, exactly, experience, and also knowledge with that living out west for this, tonight we're pretty much want to appreciate your what you're talking about, because this is beginning the opening of dealing with recycling. So
You'll be in deep trouble if you don't.
right, I mean exactly, and I agree with that statement. But as far as the, like Andy was saying earlier, the actual dealing with the recycling, how do you feel about us in terms of the pickup, the service? I mean, are we going in based on what you've? We're going in the right direction.
I'm 71 years old. I'll be 72 in July. I'll be 72 in July. I take my trash can out. Now, I think that he's off on his numbers of how many people will need assistance. I think he's done some research that may be old research. There are ways to find out if that number is inaccurate. But I had friends that are much older than me that certainly can take a basket on a wheel to a curb. And the way that I do my, I already recycle. I've got a big recycle and I have a little trash can. Once a week, I take out my recyclables. I don't care if your service is twice. I don't need that. I go out once a week with my recycle bin, and I go out once a week with my trash. The trash is in a plastic bag, nice and neat, and it's the smaller of the two containers. And because people's lifestyle has changed, we are now purchasing online a lot more, and you're going to hear about that. You're going to see the Fedco trucks or whatever they are doing a lot of delivery. My husband, who is a hoarder and buys lots of things in boxes, my boxes would fill one of those things if I didn't break them down. And the more he buys in boxes, the more you better start recycling. And if the city could afford to spend some of the money that you're talking about, the savings from there, in the consideration and looking toward development of a MRF, a material recovery facility. I have walked on the catwalks with people that are doing these recovery facilities. I could do that job. You stand there and your job on this side, you pull the paper, great, and the next guy's pulling the plastic. It provides jobs, quality jobs that pay really good. And that's something you need to think about too, is these people that are saving our life by keeping us clean, and whoever the waste hauler is, I think they're wonderful. I don't have any problem with the gentlemen that come by my house. I think they're great. But you'll find that they go back there and they check for my empty bin every week because I have one that's full and one that's not. Now, my niece, who lives over on the other side of town over here, she has 4 children and 1 in diapers. She don't want once a week pickup because she's going to have a smellier situation. So you guys have to make up those decisions. We don't have diapers at my house. So I can deal with 1 week of trash. There's a lot of serious decisions that have to be made, and I support whatever it is that you need to do, and I'm willing to go door to door. I'm willing to do education programs free, and I'm pretty good at it. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate you coming out.
I'll be in touch with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Believe me, she will. Believe me, she will.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's right.
That's
So,
great.
but
I live
anyway,
down in Walton Ferry Peninsula too, so.
all right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, I know where you're at.
Linda, did you want to come up and? We're certainly glad to have you.
I have no experience with the, as Mary has. I'm just a person who has dealt with recycling and garbage. I moved up here from Florida. We had recycling down there. I think it was every other week we put out our recycling. I lived in a senior citizen community, and there were people that were 95 years old who was carrying out their garbage and trash to the street. I have never lived in 4 states where anybody ever came to my back door and took my garbage. I didn't even know that you could do that in Hendersonville. From the day that I moved here 5 years ago, I put my trash out on the corner. I have an acre of land. My house is probably in the middle of the acre, so what, 400 feet I have to haul my garbage out? I don't care. Since I've been doing it, there's about 10 other people in my neighborhood now. They put out their garbage. And so this is really a problem for you guys because you're paying all this money for backdoor service. You're paying for somebody to come to my door, but he doesn't come to my door. That doesn't make sense. I don't, if people were too old to take out their trash, I was a teenager, and one of my chores when I was growing up was to take the trash out. Kids could make money doing that. That's how we got allowance. I don't know how they get their money today, and I know things are a lot more expensive, But my grandmother lived on a corner lot, and people used to throw beer bottles and Coke bottles and things out the window. We would go and collect all those bottles, take them up to the neighborhood store, get paid 1 or 2 cents a bottle, and buy some candy, and we were excited. And I came from states that have deposits on all their bottles and cans. And I can remember taking milk bottles that I had to buy, I think they were 10 cents. We had to pay for a half-a-gallon glass milk bottle. And we took it back to the store and bought more milk, and they just kept recycling the 10 cents unless you had to buy a new bottle if you broke your bottle or something. And then when I even lived in Florida, a lot of the stores would have it where you'd bring back your cans and your plastic, and they would put all the cans in one bin and all the plastic in another bin and give you $2 for the money that they collected. So there's a lot of money to be made. In fact, when we put our recycling out to the curb in Florida, people came along and started stealing the recycling, the metal, the copper, the cans, and took the money away from the recycling center that they were hoping to get. So then they had an issue with how this is against the law. Once the recycling is put to the curb and somebody's put their recycling in a bin, it's against the law to take somebody else to take it out. That's something that you'd have to look at as far as the ordinances go. Is you can't steal recycling if it's supposedly putting out on the curb. But that's a good way to make some money, if you can recycle the metal, the cans, the aluminum. And we had different areas in Florida where you could take your own aluminum cans and drop them off, and you could take your own paper and cardboard. Most people didn't want to deal with paper and cardboard because of the weight, and there wasn't any money to be bought in it. I can remember doing Girl Scouts recycling and having paper drives and collecting paper, and we'd spend all day just collecting all this tons and tons of paper and didn't get very much money for it, but back then it was money and we needed it to go on a camping trip, so we did it. So I just think the time has come that we have to do recycling. Most people have garbage disposals to get rid of the garbage. The only thing I put my trash out maybe once every 2 weeks. So that's all. Yard waste is my big concern. Last year when we had that no burning ban, I went to the fire department, picked up my lawn bags, raked my leaves. I'm one of the very few people in the neighborhood that rakes leaves. I found in Tennessee everybody just kind of cuts them up and lets them go. So I have about 20, 30 bags of leaves that I put out on the curb, and so I handed the note about, okay, well, go get the free leaf bags. And then it said, but you have to take them over to Forest Retreat to dispose of your leaves. So I go up to the corner, haul my leaf bags up, and the fellow didn't really want to take them. And I said, well, I don't have a truck. I can't haul these leaves anyplace. He said, well, just leave them out. Somebody from the city will come and pick them up. Well, maybe I see the city come and pick up leaves. When I first moved in the house and cut down my brush, it stood out there for over a month. And the grass grew up all over it and the weeds and things. And I said, I'm never going to do this again. So I have a burn pile in my backyard. And so I take it down and I burn everything. I go get a burn permit and burn all that stuff. But there is certain waste that I don't want to burn. So anyway, I don't like leaves, to burn leaves. So anyway, the fellow was kind enough to take the leaves, and he actually emptied the leaves into the truck and gave me back my bags. I said, great, now I can reuse them again, and because it's expensive to buy those bags. So I said, I am not leaving them out for them to get wet, to have animals knock them over, to have the kids drop them all over, and have the town come for a month to pick them up and have them sit there. I said, that's ridiculous. I want them raked up and I want them gone. So he took them on me, and he's been doing it ever since. And so I didn't know who devised that policy, but that wasn't very well thought out either, about leaving your leaf bags out on the corner until they got picked up. Even in a good windstorm, they wouldn't be there for very long. Once it rained, too, like in the weather that we're having now. And I've already just put out 3 leaf bags of stuff that I cleaned up from the yard. And they were picked up today, so I'm really happy about that.
Well, thank you.
Oh, I wrote a note down here about people who couldn't take their garbage to the curb. The kids are always looking for, like at a community service project. Would there be a way that they could like volunteer if there was somebody that they know that's disabled or not able to take their trash to the curb? Somebody could go and do it for them. I would do it if there was somebody in my neighborhood, I would do it for my neighbor. So it seems like it could be set up as a community service project at the schools. You know, I have dealt with Walton Ferry School, and we get high schools to come over and help with spring fling, and a lot of them don't do all that much, but they get credit for being there for 3 hours, even if they're just kind of doing some little bit directing. Well, you know, they could be given 3 hours community credit every 6 months or something if they went and helped a neighbor take out their trash to the curb. And, you know, they'd have to be on their honor system, but I think it's worth looking into. But that's all I have to say.
Committee, do you all have anything to say at this point or anything like that? Chip, do you have anything?
If the committee would want to hear from our current vendor, he may be able to provide some more information. This is Gary Burke. He is the government contract specialist with Republic.
Before you start, Gary, just for the record, we're certainly glad to see you again, and good to see you as always. Back there in the back, you might want to bring him up and just identify him as well. But we're certainly glad to see you guys tonight. We have an excellent working relationship with you all, and we want to continue that relationship. And so go ahead.
We feel the same way, and Derek Lillard, the supervisor, I don't do a whole lot. Derek makes it all happen. I get to deal with Chip, and I've enjoyed the partnership, and that's really all I wanted to say, Mayor, and Alderman, people that are here. I want to thank y'all for the partnership. We have enjoyed it for at least, 2 decades, and we would love to continue the partnership regardless of which way y'all go. If you want to continue backdoor service, then you know what, we'll continue to offer backdoor service. Just a couple of brief things. Landfill-wise, we're okay, but I know, you know, the future with landfills, it's tight, but we're in good shape there. We do not take tires, but you gave a great explanation, and people ask, well, why can't you take tires? Well, unless they're cut up and quartered or what, they float to the top. People have a hard way of, they don't understand it, but they do. They float to the top. But one thing I wanted to let you know is, and y'all basically, with our landfills, we've got nationwide over 70 some odd gas to energy facilities. I've got 2 landfills in Memphis. 2 landfills in Memphis where I'm from, and at our South Shelby landfill in the southern part of Memphis, we power the Soleil plant, which is a neighbor of ours at the landfill, through the gas that we collect. So, you know, we're proud of that. And with regard to recycling, it's a costly endeavor. I mean, it's when you just look at the big picture, you got the same truck, same guy in the truck, and basically now we're paying almost what it costs to go to the landfill to take the material to the recyclery. Right now we're paying $30 a ton. We just got a notice of that. So what I'm going to leave with Chip, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail, is just some information about recycling. There's a lot of information I just got regarding China and how that affects the market, but also how we need to work as in a partnership. Is you basically said most everything, and a lot of it is so true, is to make recycling sustainable, where we need to partner. Because it might be easy to come in and put a price out to pick up your recycling, and then all of a sudden I'm hit with a $50 disposal fee. Well, I didn't have that when I initially put in a price. We need to make it a partnership, and I've got some information I'm going to leave with Chip, which will explain it. It takes roughly 90% more plastic bottles to get a ton than it did in the years ago. And back from 2011 to 2016, corrugated cardboard dropped almost 40%. And that's one thing you'll notice in businesses, they'll put the cardboard out back, and when the market's hot, that cardboard's gone, but when it's not, you don't see the guys in their pickups picking it up. So, it's a very volatile market. But I want to leave this information with Chip for him to look at that I think might help, that he can disperse in any way, or I'll get with him. And then education is important, and that's something we'd be glad to work with y'all in the future, currently, but also in the future, because that is important. It's getting the kids started, and they take it home with them, and then it puts the pressure on the parents, too. So, any other questions, I'll be glad to answer. I'll leave y'all my cards, and I'd be glad to.
Alderman Waters? You had-
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Derek?
Yes, sir.
I tell you what, I'm gonna give you a big plug.
There we go, go ahead.
Okay. I've called him probably a half a dozen times, and he's never failed to return my call. He's never failed to respond to what I asked him to do. I want to take this time to thank you personally. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the crew that comes out in our ward. There's one thing I want to make clear. I get calls about why there's one man on a truck. What are you supposed to do? Can't you do something about that? No, we can't do that. That's not our job. That's your job. And I tell them, that's Republic service. If they want to put 2 men on a truck or 5 men, that's your business. But you'd be surprised the calls I get. How come it's just one man on a truck? And we get calls like that. We get calls about things that's out of the ordinary, like washing machines and refrigerators, and sometimes they're not feasible to pick up, especially hot water heaters. If they got water in them, we don't want you to pick them up. We want to drain them first. But I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate what you do for us here in Hendersonville.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to thank you, Jim, for saying that about my crew and my team, and I just want to thank the Hendersonville community for having us and letting us allow us to service your city. As far as the one man, we have only one route that runs one man, and it's in an area where majority of a lot of the people sit it out at the curb. But if they do see one man, it's more than likely that one of them are at the back door, the other one's moving the truck. So we usually have more than one person on the truck. And I just wanted to say about the current recycle program that we have going. Chip's right. There is, surprising to us, there is about 90% participation, and I know that there's a lot more people that asked about participating more. I'm sure you've gotten the calls, and I think it's a wonderful program. I think it will really help the city, and it will help, us as a company, because we're able to extend our landfill, and it's just the way to go. We got to try to help protect the earth, and I think that the recycle program is a great thing. So that's all I got. Thank you. And you gave a lot of good information.
Are you good? Okay. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Well, the public hearing area, and then we're going to talk to Chip about this. Derek, we're obviously, again, thank you for both of you guys coming out tonight. We have a great working relationship. I remember I was one of the ones that approved the contract to go with you all many years ago. I think Bobby Frudenthal was the Public Works Director back then, and I was a little pup on the board, but I was in Public Works, and we've had a great relationship, and we want to continue that with you, and your employees, remarkably the best. Because I've watched them, I watch them hustle, and when it's 100 degrees outside, and they're hustling up and down those. Because where I live, we have I live on the lake on the Walton Ferry Peninsula side, and my yard is like almost 2.5 acres down by the lake, and they run through there, man, and they're hustling. And I mean, I see sweat, and I feel sorry for them. I'll even stop them in the morning when they're coming and say, y'all want some water? And they'll say, no, we've got some. They go, no, sir, we've got some, on the thing. And I'll just say, well, keep on moving. in my neighborhood, I live on a dead-end street, and we'll always try to give something for them, at Christmas time and that kind of thing, and put it there on the trash. And we just do appreciate everything that you all do. And anything that you think that we need to do, in our working relationship with you, don't ever hesitate to go to Chip or call one of us here, and we'll see what we can do to correct that or to make it a reality. Is there anybody from the board on this? And this was the only thing we had tonight, was the hearing at this point.
I just want to let y'all know that we will be participating in Earth Day again this year.
Okay.
So, we do consider everything a partnership, that's something.
Great. Well, we're looking forward. It wasn't on, but the Republic works with us on Earth Day here at the City of Hendersonville. They're going to be participating again. This is the first of a series of meetings that we are going to be having in our Public Works Committee as well as the public. We've appreciated you tonight. Chip, is there anything else you want to say, or if that's it, or that's it?
Well, the thing that we're going to have to really think about is if we do go to a citywide recycling program, there's a big capital cost of about $1 million in recycling cans. Those cans take about probably a 10 to 12 week lead time, which our current contract ends on the 30th of June of 19. So if we wish to get something going, because I don't want to change our current garbage contract over the 4th of July holiday, we've worked out where we haven't got it signed yet, but we can probably, Republic is interested in letting us sign possibly a month or 2 month continuation of the current contract so we can have a smoother transition between programs. But that still means, we may have to put up some money up front to purchase 18,600 cans. And so that means that money would have to be put in this next fiscal year's budget. So that stuff, we really have to have some sort of consensus on a recycling program very soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Chip, for letting us know. And it'll be up to our committee to relay this information to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And then once that, and talk to our colleagues about it, it'll be up to us to relay this message, and then also Chip as well, because we're probably going to have a discussion at this, obviously, at the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, because it's it is indeed a serious issue that requires discussion from the full board. So, Mary, I think you had one of the...
I was wondering if we could have the information... I was wondering if we could get information on the differences between once a week and twice a week pickup service, because that may well implement the cost of the cans or come close to it. So if at the same time you do a switch, I know it's a responsible decision, but hey, the buck stops right there. And the decision could be to save a whole lot of money by going into business partnership with the company. They could probably get them cheaper than you. That's how we did it in California. And they were able to give us, we actually had 3 large cans, but you guys have a whole lot more trees and stuff, so that it won't work here. But I would like to know and have privy to the cost differences between a once a week and a twice a week, because right now what you're giving is the Mercedes-Benz of trash. You are. And there's absolutely no need for it. But I bet if you worked with him with that 2 months of that contract extension, what you'd be able to come up with is a cost difference with a workable program. Thank you for letting me interrupt again.
Yes. Thank you. And Chip, we've got that information actually, and we'll probably put it on channel 3 or YouTube or however they do that here. I try to stay away from that stuff. Scares me, so I'm
going to try to have at our next Public Works Committee meeting, which will be toward the end of April, most likely, to try to have some good definite dollar amounts. I'll be meeting with our current vendor. We'll be trying to get something a little bit more specific. I think with the presentation I had tonight, it's something that we can at least entertain a lot more effort to try to nail down those things. So we would probably try to have some sort of information to get ready to give to you by the end of April, because you'll have another budget workshop in May, and then you'll have start reading your final budgets the end of May and June.
And thank you very much, Chip, for that. And then again, everyone else who came tonight and spoke, thank you all very much for this, because it gives us, believe it or not, our greatest asset. Especially these three aldermen here, are us three. Our greatest asset is you. I mean, you really are the ones that really guide us and this whole city. That's what makes us such a beautiful place to live, because we value everybody's opinion, whether there's only one person shows up or three or four, or 500. We've had as many as three, but this place has been packed before. And with drainage problems, garbage, anything, you name it, whatever the local municipality does, it really helps us make our decisions and guide us, and that's what we're here for, is to help you, because by you helping us, it helps everybody. So thanks again tonight. If that's it, we're going to go ahead and we're going to shut the public hearing down at 6:45.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Right. So thank you.